Affairs Minister said that he lamented that the Congress party had called this a black day. Let me explain why we think it is indeed a dark day for India's democracy. You have brought this bill, sir, to this House without consultation with the local parties, with the state legislature out of session for more than 6 months, with democratically elected political leaders, including 2 former MPs, 2 former CMs of the state, Omar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti, under arrest, and the whereabouts of our own colleague, Dr. Farooq Abdullah, unclear. We still need to know where he is. He has not.
इन बार क्लियर कर माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं फिर से एक बार क्लियर करना चाहता हूं। एक सेकंड मैंने 3 बार क्लियर किया, मगर बार-बार ऑपोजिशन ने मुद्दा कह रहा है फारूक अब्दुल्ला जी अपने घर में हैं, ना हाउस अरेस्ट है, ना डिटेंशन में है, तबीयत भी अच्छी है और मौज मस्ती में है। आप जरा बात कर लीजिए।
सर, उसने टेलीविजन पे कहा है कि उसे बाहर जाने को इजाजत नहीं दे रहे आप लोग। सर
जाइए,
सदन को अवगत करा दिया।
मैं रिकॉर्ड पर स्पष्टता करता हूं, वो हाउस अरेस्ट में नहीं है, उनको नहीं आना है तो गन कनपट्टी पर रखकर बाहर नहीं ला सकते हम।
Okay, sir, I was continuing my list of concerns. With educational institutions closed, exams postponed, television networks suspended, communications out, landlines blocked, internet down, and most important, with flagrant disregard for both the letter and the spirit of our Constitution. The claim that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India is also our claim, sir. There is no political divide on that proposition. It is the Congress party's belief, and we are not challenging that. But the way you have pursued that claim with this bill, sir, is an affront to our very values as a democracy, as a nation, and has already done serious damage to our international standing and our credibility as a nation of laws, as a nation of democracy, and above all of the culture of decency, which was our culture in the way this has been carried out, that has also been betrayed. It is clear that the false pretense of terrorism to get people out from the Amarnath Yatra and elsewhere, the use of utter secrecy, the deployment of overwhelming force and arrests has revealed, frankly, a certain disdain, a certain contempt for liberty, for the rule of law, and, frankly, for the very conventions of our democracy that have sustained us for 70 years. That's why we said it's a dark day, sir. The truth is that if you look, I'm sure you will get this bill through this House very easily. You have a crushing, brute majority. But the tradition of consultation, of deliberation, of consensus will lie in shreds. Now, others have already spoken about the legal issues, including my colleague Manish Tiwari, and I know you will make counter-arguments on the legal points. I'm not a lawyer, so I will leave that debate to the courts. But let me confine myself on the legal side to saying simply that you have changed the basic constitutional relationship of the people of Jammu and Kashmir to the Republic of India without consulting them or their elected representatives. This is a breathtaking betrayal of our democracy and nothing short of legislative authoritarianism. By claiming that the concurrence of the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been obtained, and when it is under President's rule, and translating therefore state to mean the governor you have yourselves appointed, you have taken your own consent to amend the Constitution. And that too, sir, President's rule is meant to be temporary, only meant to happen when the constitutional machinery breaks down and no elections are possible. But decisions of a permanent character have now been taken. Even if you can convince us that you're upholding the letter of the law, this action betrays the spirit of the Constitution. So I won't talk much more about law, but let me just look at the consequences, sir. I am very glad the Home Minister is listening so attentively. I think many of us would like to see the Prime Minister also explain this decision of the government to this House, of which he is a member and to which he is accountable. We all remember the last time the PM unleashed a shock decision to the nation, which was also initially applauded for its decisiveness, just like today. And that was the disaster of demonetization. The nation is still dealing with the devastating consequences of that action. I fear that you've inflicted upon us the political equivalent of demonetization, where the short and medium-term damage will greatly outweigh the long-term theoretical benefits. So let's look at the short-term damage already, which has already been done. Tourism, the lifeline of Kashmir, has been devastated. We know, sir, that we've spent decades, your government, our government, all governments, to convey a message of normalcy to the world. We've had so many advisories by foreign governments telling their citizens not to travel to Kashmir. All that, all those decades of effort to show this is not a state in crisis have been undone by this action. And ironically, Prime Minister Modi has said to the youth of Kashmir, they must choose between tourism and terrorism. With all the unemployment in Kashmir that has been mentioned already, the truth is tourism could have absorbed some of the young people. They've doubled the rate of unemployment of the rest of India, 24.6%. Now, what I want to say to you is, instead, we all know that though tourism, when it goes up, unemployment goes down, what is going to happen today is that you have actually thrown out the tourists from Jammu and Kashmir. So advisories are back in foreign countries, tourists are out, shikara operators are out of business, handicraft makers and carpet weavers are broke, and the Amarnath Yatra has been rudely interrupted. But even so, sir, our fellow citizens, what conditions are they living in? We are proud to say Kashmiris are our fellow citizens. But I ask you, sir, look at a place where stores are closed, petrol pumps are closed. There is a shortage of fuel and essential supplies are beginning to run out. There's no communications available. People can't even watch television unless they have a satellite link, which very few rich ones have. Nearly 7 to 8 million citizens of our country are living in a near total blackout. Isn't this a betrayal of Vajpayee ji's famous formula of Insaniyat, Jumhuriyat and Kashmiriyat? Let me ask you, sir, when will Achhe Din come for the people of Kashmir? Oh, yes, yes. When they're locked up behind their own homes. Sir, the fact is that a state, let me talk, Minister Saab, a state that was gently prospering, that despite the troubles, Kashmir's gross state domestic product was better than 12 other states and union territories in our country. That state has been given an economic setback in the name of your reform and progress. In the name of unity, you are promoting division. And in the name of prosperity, you are promoting poverty in Kashmir. I feel this is a very sad situation. Now let's look at the medium-term consequences that are going to follow. Obviously, security, sir. The Home Minister has to be concerned about this, because by locking up the democratic parties and their leaders, you are opening up a space for undemocratic forces. You claim that we were winning the battle against terrorism, and perhaps we were, but now we're giving a fresh lease of life to the terrorists. And must say, we are facing a situation in which they can cite a new injustice for them to fight. You have made the mainstream pro-India parties irrelevant and powerless to stop extremism. That is the legacy that this decision is going to give our country. You may drive more misguided young Kashmiris to join the militants than ever before. And our brave Jawans will be even more in harm's way and in danger as a result of this action. And when the Americans complete their withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Taliban, of course, their victory is complete, there will be a lot of idle Mujahideen and ISIS and Al-Qaeda ready to join Pakistan's efforts to attack our country. You have given them more excuses to seek help and money for their nefarious work. And, of course, we know what's happening to our federalism. Everyone has said this, I will be brief on that the various states in the northeast, as well as for that matter Himachal, have very similar restrictions under Article 371. If all it takes is for this government to declare President's rule and use their majority in this Parliament to make decisions for the legislatures of those states, are any of them safe? What has happened to our nation's respect for federalism, for minority rights? Can any Indian anywhere take his constitutional protections for granted? Sir, I need a few more minutes, sir. Just a couple more minutes. The international implications are very serious for our country. So with this action, we have thrown out 70 years of assurances to the international community and the UN. Pakistan has already taken the issue to the UN, sir, and is speaking to its foreign friends, and the UN has issued a statement calling for restraint. Is this not embarrassing for our nation? In the process, sir, we've also jeopardized, frankly, our claims to POK because that rested on the question of the accession of the whole state. And thanks to this decision, the whole state no longer exists. Our diplomats posted in Muslim countries have been given an impossible job because we know that Pakistan has already come knocking on the doors of these countries for support. Sir, the government is in a habit of portraying opposition to its initiatives as anti-national. So there is no need to teach the Congress Party about nationalism. We are the original party of nationalism, sir. So we have fought for values that were forged in the crucible of the freedom struggle, sir. And the fact is that the inclusiveness of India came from the inclusiveness of the freedom struggle when Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Parsis, everyone came together, when Keralites and Kashmiris fought together for our freedom. Sir, this diversity has been an asset of ours. We must come together as a nation and stand up unitedly for these values that animated our freedom struggle. We are a great country, sir. We are a large-hearted country. Let us not be petty in dishonoring the carefully crafted arrangements that enshrine the state's accession to India. We used to be saying with pride that a Muslim-majority state is part of India despite partition. We have lost that, sir. We in the Congress Party stand in unequivocal solidarity with the people of Kashmir, with the Constitution of India, and with the spirit of Indian democracy, which is today in tatters. The people of Kashmir are looking to us to prove that they really matter to us and to this Parliament. Sir, I do want to say you had promised me some extra time, and the chairman who's sitting there, to respond to the historical inaccuracies that we heard from the other side. I do want to clarify one thing about that, sir, because already this Parliament is not being treated as a forum for discussion or as a source of advice that the government will hear. It is being treated as a notice board, as one paper called it, in which honestly you can just post the decisions you've taken. Let me just tell you, sir, please, you tell me when will Kashmiri parents be able to take their children to school? When will they be able to watch TV? When they will be able to go out and buy food? Then we'll talk. But let me come back, sir. Nehruji has been demonized here, and he has been criticized by very many speakers, particularly those from the ruling party. It's very interesting. You know what he said on the subject, sir? He said, in the Lok Sabha in August 1952, exactly 6-7 years ago, he said, we fought the good fight about Kashmir on the field of battle and in many a chancellery of the world and in the United Nations. But above all, we have fought this fight in the hearts and minds of men and women of that state of Jammu and Kashmir. Because ultimately, he says, I say this with all deference to this Parliament, the decision will be made in the hearts and minds of the men and women of Kashmir, neither in this Parliament, nor in the United Nations, nor by anybody else, sir. This is the advice we must all remember today. And, sir, to respond specifically to the question of 370, the BJP has made two allegations, that Nehruji came up with it on his own, and that Sardar Patel had nothing to do with it. Let me clarify the actual facts, sir. The President, sir, the Home Minister is right. I have to clarify. There is a misleading record in the House. The Home Minister is actually correct in saying that the Cabinet collectively did not decide. What happened was, sir, on the 15th and 16th of October 1949, at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's home, negotiations. Let me finish, sir.
आप मुझे सुनिए ना, आप मुझे मिस कॉल कर रहे हैं।
I have to finish.
गृह मंत्री जी,
एक मिनट सुनो भाई साहब,
आप सुनो माननीय गृह मंत्री जी को।
अध्यक्ष महोदय, ऐसा है, थरूर जी प्लीज सुनिए, थरूर जी
बात का जवाब देंगे
सुनिए, थरूर जी आप एक मिनट मुझे सुनिए ना, एक मिनट, मगर क्लैरिफिकेशन की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी। थरूर जी जिस बात में मुझे अरे सुनो तो भाई, जिस बात में वो मुझे कोट कर रहे हैं, इसमें मैंने सरदार पटेल के लिए नहीं कहा है, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी के लिए कहा है, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी के लिए कहा है। वो मुझे गलत कोट कर रहे हैं। मसूदी साहब ने जब कहा कि श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी 370 लेकर आए, तब मैं खड़ा हुआ और मैंने स्पष्टीकरण करा है। शायद उस वक्त वो हाउस में नहीं थे, इसलिए उनको किसी ने चीट गलत पकड़ा दिया।
उस विषय पे ठीक है,
अब आप बोलिए।
आप उस विषय पे ठीक ही बोला, मैंने मान लिया, मैं था यहाँ, मैं सुना। लेकिन the larger issue, sir, the larger issue is, unfortunately, we have missed this, that the claims that have been largely made in this House by your party has also been that Sardar Patel, if he had been here, we would not have this problem. It's all Nehru's individual fault. I have to clarify that, sir. Nehruji did not do anything on his own. There were 3 accessions, as has been mentioned already, including by Dr. Jitendra Singh. There was Hyderabad, Junagadh, Kashmir. All 3 had to be treated by Nehruji and Sardar Patel together, without exception, sir. What is more, this question of a plebiscite, which somebody said is a bizarre thing that we have done, I'm sorry, the plebiscite was promised for all 3 places. It's there in the record, sir. And the problem with misrepresenting history is the problem. I have not finished, sir. Please, let me clarify.
सभी राजनीतिक दल हैं, आपका अकेले का दल नहीं है यहाँ पर, और भी छोटे छोटे कई राजनीतिक दल हैं। माननीय सदस्य, ऐसा नहीं है कि कांग्रेस एक दल हो अकेली, सबको मौका देंगे। हाँ, कंक्लूड करो आप। 9 ऐसे नहीं माननीय सदस्य सब खड़े हो जाओगे। 9 तरीका, बैठिए। अध्यक्ष महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, अध्यक्ष महोदय, क्योंकि मेरा नाम, अरे माननीय सदस्य, मेरा नाम आप कर देना, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी को व्यवस्थित।
Sir, let me just finish. Sir, I have not given you the historical facts. 1 second. All I want to say is this. On the 15th and 16th of October 1949, meetings took place with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru and Sheikh Abdullah in the house of Sardar Patel. And Minister without portfolio who was looking after Kashmir, Shri N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, took detailed notes. He sent a summary of the notes of these conclusions to Sardar Patel with the following covering note: will you kindly let Jawaharlal ji know direct as to your approval of it? He will issue the letter to Sheikh Abdullah only after receiving your approval. That approval came, sir, on the 17th of October 1949 from Sardar Patel, and only then was 370 brought into the Constitution of India on 17 October 1949. Sir, Itihas will appoint it. All these records have now been declassified. They're available, sir. Sir, I just want to conclude with one last sentence. This, finally, sir, is an assault on the Constitution, on the inclusive idea of India. It's an assault on the spirit of cooperative federalism. It's an assault on our democratic practices and an assault on the individual liberties of each and every one of our citizens from the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And therefore, sir, it is an attack on our own country's democracy and values. So in the long-term interests of India, sir, and for Indian democracy, and as proud Indian nationalists, my party rejects this bill. I would also request the Home Minister, would he accept a request from my party to lead or to conduct or to organize an all-party delegation to visit Kashmir and see for ourselves what the situation is on the ground? I'll leave that question with the Home Minister. Thank you.